Check out Tifo's new merchandise release. Visit shop.tifofootball.com.
Hi, my name is Maram, and today I'm going to be talking about Fred and why he might be a much better player than you think he is. To do that, we're going to be taking a look at Ralph Rangnick's tactics at United and how his role, Fred, has changed. Now, let's talk a little bit about how Ralph Rangnick lines up this United side. It involves having a very important philosophy of winning the ball high up the pitch and trying to regain within 10 seconds, and creating a shot off of that. So that means you have forwards like Sancho, Ronaldo, Rashford, and your fullbacks high up the pitch, trying to stretch that back line and force errors. Now that makes a player like Fred very important in his advanced role, because that means that he can make runs into the box and develop these connections with wingers and fullbacks that he hasn't been able to previously before. Under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, he was playing in a double pivot, a 4-2-3-1, that his role was focused on the responsibility of build-up. That meant that he was focused on trying to move and progress the ball out of his own half rather than being involved in the opposition half like he is now. So that's how his role has changed. Now, the data supports actually how Fred's role has changed tactically. We can take a look at that here by looking at how his touches on the ball have changed under Rangnick compared to Solskjaer per 90. Now, so he's less involved in build-up, but he's definitely way more involved in the opposition half simply because of his advanced roles. But what's interesting here is that his touches have actually increased in the central areas. Most typically plays like a left-sided midfielder, but he's way more involved in that central areas of the pitch. We can take a look at how that made Fred a better player and how that's improved United. What I have in front of me are heat maps, and we can take a look at where Fred receives passes and where he receives progressive passes. Like we've seen before, his role is definitely higher up the pitch, but the fun factor here is where he receives progressive passes. It's not limited to the left areas of the pitch like you would typically expect. He's actually roaming into those central areas and half spaces, and that's where he's getting into those good positions. Now, how does that help United? It allows them to initiate transitions much better, but most importantly, it gives them an outlet in possession that they didn't have previously. Under Ole, the double pivot was quite reserved. That meant that the forward line was quite often isolated. Moving Fred higher in advanced role up the pitch meant that they could connect the back line and the forward line much better than they used to. So not only is Fred better off, the entire team is now better off. Now, it's all well and good looking at the positions that he's in, but what does Fred actually do when he's in the opposition half? So here I have all of his passes made in the opposition half. These are the most frequent, second most frequent, third most frequent. Now, immediately what we can tell is these are a wide range of different passes, and they're all made in different locations. So here we have balls distributed to the wide, for example, to a fullback like Dalot, underlapping, or we have switches, very important, to wingers in space like Sancho, and we have very quick flicks and combinations outside of the box in the central areas. That means Fred is quite a problem solver in terms of the repertoire of passes that he can offer United in possession. But one of Fred's biggest flaws, especially when he was playing as a defensive midfielder in Ole's 4-2-3-1 double pivot, is that he tends to be quite erratic on the ball. And that leads us, or whoever is watching really, to believe that Fred is not technical on the ball. But that's not true, and using data we can see that, because when he's in that opposition half, he's really involved, yes, but he's actually productive in helping United move into the final third and create chances. Now, we've talked about how Fred can be useful on the ball and in possession for United, but that's not where all of his primary value comes from as a midfielder. Fred is actually quite energetic on the ball, and when he's erratic, that can be a flaw, but when he's higher up the pitch, that can be quite a valuable asset for Ralph Rangnick, especially given his philosophy of winning the ball higher up the pitch, and quickly at that. So what I have here is where Fred recovers the ball, and immediately you can see he's very involved in his own third and the middle third. Again, we're talking about Fred as a very energetic and very valuable player out of possession. Now, Fred has always been an elite ball winner. That's not something new that we learned under Ralph Rangnick. It's just that it's being used much better and at a higher frequency. Now, look at how much he's winning the ball back in the opposition half. Marry that with a philosophy like Rangnick's that emphasizes winning the ball back to create chances, especially in transition. That makes Fred a very valuable player and a very good one at that. Now, we've seen using tactics and data that Fred is very good on the ball and Fred is very good off the ball, and that makes him quite an interesting midfielder. He's not a goal scorer in the typical sense or a dribbler, but he's very valuable across each third in the pitch, and that's why he's been so good for United.
You can now check out Tifo's latest merchandise drop, where you can get these beautifully illustrated literal nickname t-shirts, such as Radio Muller, Pirlo the Metronome, or Harry Kane the Hurricane, and more. They also make the perfect gift for any football fan. So visit shop.tifofootball.com now, and thanks for watching.